After Dark Stories, Episode 5. Sensual, the bookshop at closing time. There are people who browse with purpose, and people who browse the way they breathe, because stopping would feel wrong. Mara was the second kind. She had come in out of habit, really. The bell above the door, the smell of old paper and wood, and something warm she could never name. Aldgate Books had been on this street since before she'd moved to the city, and she'd been coming here long enough that the owner, a man named Eli, no longer asked if she needed help finding anything. He knew she didn't need help. He knew she was looking for something he couldn't point her to. At 6:30, he turned the sign to closed without looking up. She noticed, but he didn't say anything, and neither did she. She was standing in the back corner, the section he called difficult fiction, which she had always loved as a description, when she heard him moving through the shop, turning off the overhead lights and leaving only the low, warm lamps, the kind of light that makes a room feel like a kept secret. "There's a Bolano you haven't touched, which surprises me," he said, appearing at the end of the aisle. "I've read it. What did you think?" She considered. "It made me feel like I'd lost something I hadn't known I had." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "That's a better review than anything I've read of it." She turned to look at him properly for the first time that evening. He was leaning against the shelving at the end of the aisle, not crowding her, just present. There was something careful about the way he stood, measured, as though he'd learned long ago that rooms like this one required a certain quality of patience. "What do you look for?" he asked. "When you come in." She smiled. "The same thing everyone looks for." "Which is?" "A version of yourself you haven't met yet." He made tea. He didn't ask him to. He simply disappeared into the back and returned with 2 mismatched mugs, and she accepted one without comment because it felt like the natural continuation of a conversation already in progress. They talked for a long time, about books initially, then about what books do, the way a good one shifts something in you permanently, rearranges the furniture of your thinking. She told him about a novel she'd read at 22 that had made her end a relationship. He told her about a poem that made him stay in a city he'd been planning to leave. At some point, the tea went cold, and neither of them noticed. "I should go," she said. Not moving. "You should," he agreed, not moving either. The lamplight was very warm. The shop felt smaller than it had an hour ago, and she wasn't sure whether that was the darkness gathering at the windows or the simple fact of proximity, of 2 people standing close enough to be aware of each other's breathing. "Same time next week?" he asked. She picked up her coat. She let her eyes stay on his for one deliberate moment longer than was necessary. "Probably sooner," she said. The bell rang as she left. Outside, the night was cool, and she was already thinking about what she'd say when she came back. There is a kind of conversation that reads like a first chapter. You know the kind I mean. The one where every sentence carries the weight of everything that hasn't been said yet. Where 2 people are ostensibly talking about one thing and clearly meaning another. Have you ever had one? Tell me about it in the comments. What started it, whether it went anywhere. I'll be here. After Dark Stories. Don't watch alone.